Hey there, my name is Jesse Lane. I've been a certified contractor here in Florida since I was 22 years old. I started with my CBC license, which I'm going to explain more about that in a second. And last year I just passed my CGC exam, so I'm now a certified general contractor. I have been through the rigorous testing, the studying, of course, and the licensure application, etc. Twice now. And so I'm going to share with you in this video the nuts and bolts of how to actually do this here in Florida. So if you're into this kind of thing and you want to get your Florida State certified contractor's license, then stay tuned. Before we start, I want to clarify one thing. There's actually two different types of contractors here in Florida. There's a certified contractor and there's a registered contractor. I'm going to be showing you the certified contractor, as that means you can do work statewide, versus only being licensed as a registered contractor, which means you're only licensed in that county. So this video is going to be for the certified contractors out there that want to get their certified contractor's license. Now, to further break this down, there's actually three different types of certified contractor. There's a certified residential contractor, a certified building contractor, a certified general contractor. A residential contractor can only do work on residential homes up to 2 stories. So a residential contractor can't build any multifamily or anything above 2 stories. A building contractor can do residential work, but also commercial work up to 3 stories. Even if there's an existing 4-story building and the building contractor wants to work on that, he actually can't do any structural renovations on that 4-story building unless it's 3 stories or under. And then, of course, the top tier general contractor is unlimited to the scope that he can do. So he can build skyscrapers, residential, commercial, industrial, anything like that, with no limit on the size of project he can accomplish. I saw a lot of videos on here that are just like either selling you an exam prep course or really not giving you the full bit of information. So that's my goal with this video. The only thing I ask in return is that you subscribe to this channel if you're not already, and leave a little thumbs up down below and leave a comment. Of course, that really helps, and watch the whole video through. Okay, there's like 4 things you have to do, but it would really help me and my little baby channel out a lot. Okay, so let's get started with step number 1. Okay, so step number 1 is to research the requirements that you're actually going to need to have in place before you even think about taking this test. Because without these requirements, you could pass the test and still not be licensed. So I have got my laptop here and I've detailed everything out, and I'm going to tell you right here, right now, what exactly you need to do. So of course, the first thing is to obtain a passing score of 70% or more on all 3 parts of this contractor's exam. So the contractor's test is actually broken out into 3 different parts. There's the business and finance section, there's the contract administration, and there's also the project management. So there's 3 different parts that you'll need to pass, so 3 different tests that make up the contractor's exam. So there's the business and finance, and then the contract administration and project management. Those are taken on the same day. Those are about 4 hours and 45 minutes each. There'll be a lunch in between. This is lunch right here. And then your business and finance, that is about a 6.5 hour test. So these are going to be 2 separate testing days. I personally took the business and finance section first. It doesn't matter which you take first. Now, super good news, you can actually take all 3 of these tests on the computer at Pearson VUE as of 2018. I think it was like August 2018. But before then, like when I took it 4 years ago, it was drive to Tallahassee or Orlando, but I went to Tallahassee, and you have to take a paper test, and then you can't even schedule, like say you fail, you can't even schedule your test for another couple months because they only would schedule those for 6 times a year, I believe. But that's all in the past. You can now do it unlimited times as long as you pass the test within 4 years of your initial exam date. So the next part of the requirements are, of course, paying the applicable fees to Pearson VUE. I think it's $80 a test, something like that. Then it's about $135 for the application to CILB. So it's a fairly minimal cost. The biggest cost of this whole thing is going to be your books. The next requirement is you must be 18 or older. So hopefully you're 18 or older. That's not a hard one, unless you're not 18 or older. Next, you must be of good moral character. What does this mean? No criminal, crazy background. You can't be currently incarcerated. You can't have like crazy, legal things happening. I'm not a legal advisor, of course, so you might need to research this if you do have something going on. but hopefully it won't be a problem for you. The next one is you must demonstrate financial responsibility. So you have to have a credit score of 660 or higher. And if you don't have credit score 660 or higher, you can actually go to a 14-hour financial responsibility course. And I think that they'll work with you a little bit as long as you complete that course. But you can talk to CILB about that one. The next thing on the requirements is you must have workers' compensation or an exemption. It's easy to apply for an exemption. I think it's like $150 or something. Don't quote me, but I've done that years back, and you just renew it every year, and it exempts you as the owner of a business that you don't have to have workers' comp on yourself. Of course, you still need to have workers' comp on your employees, but you can get exempt as the owner. There's Jake's tail. Hey, Jake. The next thing is you must have a general liability insurance policy let me read these notes here. If you're gonna go for general or building contractor, you need to have $300,000 of public liability and $50,000 of property damage. If you're just going for a residential contractor, you need to have $100,000 public liability and $25,000 property damage policy. And by the way, any business needs general liability, so you're gonna have to have this anyway. Just a side note. So, okay, this next one is the biggest one. A lot of people cannot get their general contractor's license or any certified contractor's license because of the experience requirements. And so here are the options that they give you. You can either have a 4-year construction-related degree and 1-year experience, or 1-year experience as a foreman or supervisor, and not less than 3 years of credits from accredited college level courses, or 1-year experience as a worker, 1-year experience as a foreman, and 2 years of credits from accredited college level courses, or 2 years experience as a worker, 1 year experience as a foreman, and 1 year of credits from accredited college level courses, or 4 years experience as a worker or foreman, of which at least 1 year must have been a foreman or supervisor. And there's also some benefits if you were in the military, Navy, stuff like that. They actually will accredit that as part of it, as long as you have some construction experience. And then lastly, there's the upgrade method, which if you have held a residential or a building contractor's license for more than 4 years, which is actually how I got my general contractor's license, because I've had my building contractor's license for 4 years. And so I passed the GC test and I just applied for my GC license because of my CBC holding that for 4 years. And quick side note, if you look in the description below, I'm actually gonna put a link to a Dropbox file which has all the documents that you're gonna need and links to things that I reference here in this video. So definitely check that out. It's a great resource that I put together for you. So step number 1 was the biggest one. We just wanna make sure that you've got every requirement that you need. And let's just say that you have every other requirement other than maybe one thing or something like that, then you'll have that experience built up in the next 2 years. You can start studying and even pass your test, I believe. You just can't apply for the license until you have those things built up, because remember, you have 4 years from the initial exam scheduled date to apply for your certified contractor's license. Okay, step number 1 was the biggest one. We wanted to really make sure that you had every requirement in place, but step number 2 is apply for an exam prep class. I cannot accentuate this enough. You must apply for an exam prep class. If you don't, you're just gonna miss out on so many things that they have to offer that you're just not gonna know. It would have been like just stuff that, because this isn't about, you have to realize that even if you have a background and lots of experience in construction, this has nothing to do with that. It will help a little bit, but what this test is about, what they're looking for, this is completely different. What CILB is actually looking for, the Construction Industry Licensing Board, is your competency and ability to retain and process information and then find that information in these books. That is how you're gonna pass this test. The exam prep courses are gonna give you the math formulas, the tabbing, the highlighting, which I'm gonna go over in one quick second, and everything that you're gonna need to know to be successful in passing this test. I personally went to AAA Construction School, which a link to them is also in the description.
AAA Construction School. AA Construction School, been around for over 3 decades. We've helped thousands pass the state examination, and we can certainly help you.
They're here off Atlantic Boulevard in Jacksonville, Florida, like in the Arlington area, but there's tons across Florida, wherever you live. I'm sure just Google contractors exam prep courses, and tons of people want to take your money for that. Now, step number 3 is to get the books. Of course, you want to get the right books, but the exam prep course is going to steer you towards the right books. There's about 18, 19, 20 books that you're going to need to get. You can buy these anywhere as long as they're the right books, but I just recommend just going to the exam prep course if it's in person or online. In person would be better, but they'll guide you and give you a whole list of every book that you're going to need to purchase. Okay, now speaking of books, obviously you can see my books here. I'm going to show you a snippet of how I tabbed and highlighted my books for success. Check this out. Okay, for example, this is Principles and Practices of Commercial Construction. Turn off autofocus here. Every tab is completely readable and referenceable. Autofocus back on. Autofocus saves my life. Thank you, Canon. You're amazing. You make great cameras. Okay, so this is exactly how I did my books. The most important thing here is to write on both sides of the tab. You see how, dang it. See how I can read all the tabs no matter where in the book I am? Let's say I get a question. I start scanning through the top like this. I start scanning through the tabs like this, but then once I open the book, the point is I can see every other tab that I've written because I've written on both sides of the tab. The next thing is to do your tabs in a way to where you start at the top, like the top left. That's what I did. And then one in a row until you go all the way around, and then flip the tab upside down and then put the row on the bottom. That's what I did. Sometimes they'll get a little bit bent, but you just deal with it. And then you start back up at the top. So that's how, focus. So that's how I have these gaps and the tabs aren't hiding behind each other. I saw so many, I was the only guy in class that did it this way. Everyone else had all these tabs that were pretty much hidden behind each other because they didn't pre-plan. So this is the process. I literally bought this thing on Amazon because these, dang it. So I could listen to these things because that AAA construction school is extremely old school, but Rob has been giving these contractors lessons for like 30 years, and he runs you through everything that you need to highlight in these books. You start on page 1 and you highlight everything he says on your first pass through the book. And then you go back through highlight by highlight, understand where things are in the book, and then start placing your tabs based on what the content of that page is saying. Let's say, for example, here's my page on all the different soil types. What this says is soil types, and then fill layers, 6 inches, Shelby tube, soil tests, boundary surveys, all kinds of stuff like that that is related to this section of the book. And so once you're done that, then you start with the practice test. This is about 600 practice questions in one book that they sell. And then here's all the practice tests from the actual courses in person. You can go through and then you test your ability to reference information about, which book is it is the first thing you say. And then how do I find it within that book once you've narrowed that down? And you'll be wrong a lot until you start being right. And then you'll know you're ready to take the test. So what they're looking for is, can you find a small bit of seemingly hidden information in a large stack of books? That's the key. So I'd recommend taking at least 4 to 6 months or so of like hardcore studying to really get this thing under your belt. Okay, let's move on to step number 5. Got really bright in here. Let's lower this. Okay, that's better. So step number 5 is, of course, to schedule and then, of course, take the test and pass the test. Again, you need a 70% passing score on all 3 portions. Again, that's business and finance, and then contract administration and project management are there in that other day. And you can schedule your Florida exam at floridaexam.com. It's really that simple. And you'll get a call from Pearson VUE, and you'll go there to your local Pearson VUE, and you'll take the test, and you'll grab lunch, and then you'll hopefully pass. And they literally give you your results just right there on the spot. Jake's enjoying his Saturday. Taking the test really isn't that bad. You just have to really bring some snacks, bring a banana and some granola bars and a bottle of water. Make sure you have everything you need. Make sure your brain is just prepped and prepared to think hard, right? So my first test, I think I got like a 75, 74, something like that, 76 4 years ago. This last time I got an 85%, and I studied since like January of 2018, and then I Took the test, I believe, around August of 2018. So a bunch of months of studying, had a lot of it under my belt, was helping people in class. So you kind of need to get to that point of you just know every answer. You're like, I know that's principles and practices, that's walkers, that's design and control of concrete mixtures, and that's, you know, the Florida code book, residential versus building. And, you know, there's different books. There's 20 books that you have to just know, the AIA documents and Builder's Guide to Accounting, and just different things that there's a lot of stuff that you probably will never use again in your life. Like I said, don't rely on your previous construction knowledge. It's not going to get you past the test. What's going to get you past the test is knowing these books back and forth and knowing where to find the information. Step number 6, once you pass, submit your application to the CILB, Construction Industry Licensing Board, which is just a offshoot of the DBPR, which is the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. Those are the people that are going to decide whether or not to give you a license. Do you meet all the requirements? Did you pass the test? It's really that simple. Now, the course that you go to, like AAA Construction School, they will do all of this for you. They'll submit it. You can also submit it yourself if you like, or check out Licenses, etc. That's they're a great company. They charge you a little bit to just gather all the information and stuff, but they put a nice package together and make sure that you get approved. So I'd check them out. Of course, all these links will be in the description. And step number 7 is to enjoy your new license. You can really do well in this industry. Always treat your clients with utmost respect. Produce quality projects. You will be a success if you value these things and you have integrity. Contractors get a bad rap. Please do not give the contracting industry a bad rep. I mean, you can be an amazing, amazing contractor. I believe in you. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in a future video. Of course, if you have any questions or if you feel like I missed anything out, which I probably did, but I think I got most of the information. You can figure it out, fill in the gaps, but leave a comment below, and I'll see you soon.